There is no part of this situation that justifies you literally doing 36 miles over the posted speed limit. At night, you're lucky you're not going to jail for child endangerment.
At 3:30 a.m., Anthony is at home with his family when his worst nightmare begins. His baby, born 3 months premature, suddenly struggles to breathe, vomiting, gagging. She has chronic lung disease and every second counts. Anthony rushes to his car without hesitating, determined to get her to the children's hospital. But as he races through the empty streets, red and blue lights flash behind him. A cop pulls him over. Anthony thinks this officer will help, maybe even escort him, but what happens next will leave you furious. Anthony is desperate. The roads are empty, and he's pushing 86 miles per hour. His only focus is saving his daughter, but flashing lights force him to stop. Sergeant Mike Rurman of the Coro County Sheriff's Office steps up to the window. For a moment, Anthony feels hope. Maybe this officer will understand and help. Instead, man's eyes stay locked on the speedometer, not the gasping baby in the back seat. "Do you know how fast you were going?" Anthony pleads, explaining his daughter's condition. But the officer doesn't seem to care. He's not offering help. He's making this a traffic stop. Anthony begs to keep going, but Rurman refuses. Instead of an escort, he calls an ambulance, forcing the family to wait. "You were going 36 over. You're lucky I'm not arresting you for child endangerment," Rurman says coldly. Anthony is stunned. His daughter is struggling to breathe, and this officer is treating him like a criminal. Minutes drag on as Ryan writes a citation for speeding. The baby needs urgent care, yet they're stuck on the side of the road. Every second counts, but Roman doesn't seem to care. He's making an example out of Anthony at the worst possible moment. Anthony watches helplessly as precious time slips away. His baby is still gasping for air, but Rurman insists they wait for an ambulance instead of letting him drive. Desperate to comfort his daughter, Anthony steps out, but Rurman immediately snaps, "Get back in the car now!" His voice is sharp, more focused on control than the baby's worsening condition. Anthony hesitates, glancing at his daughter, who looks weaker by the second. He needs to update his wife, so he stops recording briefly to call her. Meanwhile, Rurman stands firm, unmoved by the emergency unfolding before him. The situation feels surreal. His daughter's life is in danger, yet the officer's only concern is enforcing authority. Every second wasted is another second closer to disaster.
Thank you.
There's an emergency right in town.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
I've had bad luck with them.
They would have done, at a bare minimum, if the child was, like I said, experiencing respiratory difficulty breathing, if anything, they would have stabilized the child for movement. Okay, and then they could have gone from there. There is no part of this situation that justifies you literally doing 36 miles over the posted speed limit.
Okay.
All right? You're lucky you're not going to jail for child endangerment.
Yeah, okay.
At those speeds,
Child endangerment for trying to get my kid to the
you
hospital?
were doing 36 miles over the posted speed limit at night. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Okay, all right, I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I bet.
Nearly half an hour passes, but no ambulance arrives. The hospital is just 10 miles away, yet Anthony is still stuck, his baby struggling to breathe. His wife, frantic on the phone, contacts local authorities and learns the ambulance was delayed. Something happened, forcing it to turn back. Anthony's frustration boils over. "We've been sitting here for almost 30 minutes and no ambulance," he exclaims. At last, Rurman lets him go, but not without handing over the speeding ticket. Anthony speeds off, knowing every wasted second could be the difference between life and death. Anthony finally reaches the hospital, rushing his baby inside. Nurses act quickly, admitting her immediately. She's placed on 8 liters of oxygen, struggling to stabilize. IV fluids are administered, and doctors monitor her closely. Every moment wasted on the roadside replays in Anthony's mind. What if they had arrived sooner? The reality is clear. The delay could have been catastrophic. Thankfully, with the right care, his daughter's condition begins to improve. After hours of uncertainty, she stabilizes. But Anthony knows this could have ended differently. The fear, the frustration, It's something he won't forget.
Desolate highway.
It's okay. Or my babies were born 3 months premature. I've done this before. She's been throwing up and gagging, and her chest is sucking in, and I'm just trying to get to the hospital. She's born 3 months premature. She's already a year and a half old.
She doesn't seem to be having any respiratory issues, but EMS is on the way.
Okay.
Man, get back in your vehicle. Hey, I don't want you getting hit.
What the? Get back in my vehicle. That's all he's worried about. Get back in my vehicle while my baby's over here suffocating. Awesome. Because he doesn't want me getting hit. Yeah, because the ambulance is going to be so fast. Could already been through flat by now.
The Coro County Sheriff's Office quickly drops the speeding citation, likely realizing the public outrage it could spark. But for Anthony, that's not enough. His daughter could have suffered severe complications, or worse, all because of one officer's refusal to prioritize a medical emergency. The department announces an internal investigation into Sergeant Warman's actions, but they remain silent on any potential consequences. Meanwhile, Anthony takes to social media, sharing his story. His frustration is clear. He isn't just upset about the ticket, but about the unnecessary delay that could have cost his daughter her life. As the video gains traction, public support pours in, with people demanding accountability. Some argue that man's actions show a disturbing lack of empathy, while others debate whether Anthony should have been speeding at all. But one thing is certain: this incident raises serious questions about how law enforcement handles medical emergencies and whether officers are truly trained to recognize life and death situations.
It's not a scrape or a bruise. This is respiratory issues. This is chronic illness. This is what keeps us alive.
Anthony's experience leaves many questioning law enforcement's priorities. Should strict enforcement of traffic laws take precedence over an obvious medical emergency? Or should officers be trained to recognize life-threatening situations and act accordingly? Some argue that Sergeant Rahman was just following protocol, while others believe he showed a complete lack of empathy. The fact that the ambulance never arrived only adds to the controversy. Was it really the safer option, or did it just waste critical time? This incident highlights a much larger issue about police discretion and public safety. Had Anthony waited any longer, his daughter's condition could have worsened. In moments like these, the line between enforcing the law and saving lives becomes blurred. What do you think? Was the officer simply doing his job, or did he fail a family in crisis? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.